Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, our mission is, well, it's to take that huge rush of announcements from Jump Festa 2026 and just make sense of it all.
We're talking about the big one, Tight Kubo's Bleach.
Yes, specifically the final colossal installment of the Thousand-Year Blood War arc.
And this isn't just another season. I mean, you have to understand, this is the definitive conclusion to a story that's been a cultural touchstone for decades.
It really is.
The anticipation for this adaptation is historical because it's the last bit of the original manga. Everything, and I mean everything, hangs on this.
Absolutely. So we've gone through the trailers, we've analyzed the new visuals, we've locked down the dates. If you're getting ready for a massive binge watch in summer 2026, or, just trying to figure out why everyone is so excited, we've got you. Okay, let's unpack this.
To really get the scale of this finale, I think we first need to look at the journey to get here.
Right.
This whole final arc, the Thousand-Year Blood War, it wasn't adapted all at once. It's been delivered in these meticulously crafted parts, spaced out.
Which is a huge statement in itself, isn't it?
It is. A very deliberate one.
I mean, you and I know the story, but for you listening, that timeline is key. Why segment a finale like this over 4 years? Doesn't that risk, killing the momentum of an all-out war?
It's a great point. And it could, but if we connect this to the bigger picture, this whole serialized release model, it actually guarantees the highest quality.
How so?
Well, the original manga arc was famously dense, and let's be honest, a bit rushed toward the end.
It was.
So by adapting it in chunks, part 1, part 2, and so on, the studio gives itself the time to not only do it justice, but to actually add material that Kubo himself couldn't fit in.
So the wait isn't about frustrating people, it's about maximizing the impact.
Exactly, it's about fidelity.
Okay, so let's just quickly chart that course, just so we have our anchor points.
Right, so part 1. That's what kicked this whole revival off. It was streaming everywhere on Disney Plus and Hulu, running from October to December 2022.
And that really reestablished the stakes, right?
Yeah.
Quincy King, the scale of it all.
Event scale. Then we had that deliberate gap, to keep the anticipation building.
And we came back for part 2, which was titled The Separation. That was the following summer, July to September 2023.
And those titles, they're not random. The Separation was all about fracturing the alliances, setting up more personal conflicts.
And then the current run, part 3, The Conflict, which started in October 2024.
Right, so you see the structure. Part 1 establishes the war, part 2 is the internal breakdown, and part 3 is just the fighting. It's a very strategic way to break down the plot.
And now, the final and longest wait. From late 2024 all the way to summer 2026. What does a 20-month gap let them do that a normal schedule wouldn't?
It lets them animate the impossible, basically. The final stretch of the manga has some of the most complex, visually demanding battles Kubo ever drew.
Right, the Benkai reveals.
All of it. Trying to squeeze that into a weekly production schedule would mean, simplified animation, cut content, disaster. This long gap for the final part suggests they're giving every single one of those final showdowns movie-quality treatment.
So they're avoiding the rush that plagues so many other finales.
It's a commitment to giving the manga a truly definitive, uncompromised ending.
Speaking of the end, let's get into the really exciting news from Jump Festa.
Let's.
After the conflict wraps up, we finally have the name for the last piece of the puzzle. And, if the last few parts were the buildup, this title, it sounds like the breaking point.
The name itself is a promise, really, a promise of narrative weight.
It is. The ultimate conclusion is officially titled Bleach. Thousand-Year Blood War, final part, The Calamity.
The Calamity. That just carries this incredible weight. Utter ruin.
It really does. It suggests whatever chaos we've seen before was nothing.
And they gave us the date. The sources confirmed it's coming July 2026. Right at the peak of summer in Japan.
Perfect for a summer binge, as they pointed out. So that's 2 years for us to mentally prepare, basically. But it wasn't just a name and a date. They showed a teaser trailer, a tantalizing one, and a key visual that just immediately set the internet on fire.
And what's fascinating here is that the announcement wasn't just words. It was a visual statement. The key art. It has Ichigo and his allies, ready for their final stand. That's the emotional anchor you expect.
Right, but here's where it gets really interesting. The visual also gives us a clear glimpse of new enemies, or at least new forms of enemies that Ichigo's team will have to face.
Yeah.
To introduce fresh threats this late in the final definitive war, that seems like a huge risk. What does that tell us about the structure?
It's classic Kubo. It's
Yeah.
all about narrative escalation. Normally, a final arc is just about the big bad, you know?
Right, the final boss.
Exactly. By revealing new threats right before the Calamity, they're confirming that the power ceiling we thought existed. It's about to be shattered one last time.
So even for people who read the manga, it'll feel unpredictable.
Completely.
Huh.
The stakes aren't just about winning. They're about surviving a crisis that keeps evolving, that keeps getting worse.
So the climax isn't just one fight, it's a chain of devastating encounters. A true calamity.
Which is why that animation gap is so necessary. They're promising to dive deep into the very end of the manga, and that needs intense, kinetic battles. The title and the visual, they're the perfect package to build hype for this huge, high-budget finale.
The energy is so clearly focused on the anime, but that's not all that's happening, is it? The whole franchise is expanding around this event.
That's right. This isn't just an anime ending, it's a multimedia climax. They announced a huge supplementary expansion right alongside it.
Okay, so let's talk about the new digital arena then, because they announced a brand new smartphone game, timed perfectly. It's called BLEACH Mirrors High.
And that timing is meticulous. The game is also slated for summer of 2026.
The same summer.
Not a coincidence. It's a commercial necessity. The excitement from the anime finale is going to be this huge wave, and launching the game right then, they get to ride that wave.
That's smart. As soon as you finish watching Ichigo go through the Calamity, you're desperate to stay in that world.
And the mobile game is the perfect release valve for all that fan energy. It's there to quench your thirst, as they said.
What's fascinating here is the title, though. Mirrors High. The sources say gameplay details are still under wraps, but that name, that gives us a lot to think about.
It really does. I mean, mirrors in the Bleach lore. We're talking multiple planes of existence, reflections of power, the inner worlds of Zanpakuto.
Mirrors could mean, what, alternate timelines? Mirrored versions of characters? Maybe it's about Ichigo's own inner conflict, the Soul Reaper versus the Quincy inside him.
That's a sharp deduction. And the high part, it might not just mean a high score. It could mean a high state of power, a high spiritual plane.
A game focused on the absolute peak performance of these characters.
Exactly. Tailored specifically to the power dynamics of the Thousand-Year Blood War era.
Yeah.
And they've already launched an official website, a flashy trailer. This isn't some minor tie-in.
It's a central piece of the strategy. It ensures the franchise doesn't just stop when the credits roll on the final episode.
It creates an ecosystem. The anime provides the emotional peak, and the game provides the ongoing interaction. It's a complete plan for the climax and for what comes after.
Okay, so we have the schedule, the devastating title, the expanding universe. But let's zoom out for a second. So what does this all mean? Why does Bleach, after all this time, still command this much global attention?
I think it goes back to something very simple thematically, beneath all the massive scale.
At its heart, it's just about duty, right? Ichigo Kurosaki isn't driven by ambition. He's driven by this relentless need to protect people.
Yes. He jumps back into the fight, Zanpakuto in hand, because it's his chosen responsibility.
And those themes of responsibility and courage, they cut through all the complex politics of the Soul Society.
And this final arc, the Calamity, it's the ultimate test of that original commitment. The threat is designed to challenge the hero's motivation itself, to make the cost of that responsibility higher than it has ever been.
Which is why the anticipation is so real. We're not just waiting to see who wins, we're waiting to see how these characters we love navigate the ultimate trials.
The fan buzz confirms it. The whole conversation is, will they emerge victorious from the shadows of despair? Can they protect their world? It's all of that courage built up over decades, finally reaching its definitive moment.
The ultimate confrontation, where responsibility meets its final test.
And now you, listening, you're prepared for that moment. You know the timeline, the title, the multimedia strategy.
So a quick recap for you. The final part of the anime is called The Calamity. It hits screens in July 2026. And the universe is expanding right alongside it with the new mobile game BLEACH Mirrors High. You can check the official sites for those visuals we were talking about.
And as we wait for this conclusion, the conclusion to a story all about duty and courage, maybe think about the challenge it poses to the whole idea of the hero's journey. The story is about the struggle for protection. But if this arc is truly the end, where the fighting finally stops, what does that mean for the heroes? How does a definitive conclusion change the way we see their courage when their primary role as warriors is complete?
When the Calamity is over, what does the Soul Reaper become?
Something to mull over until July 2026.
A great question to keep us busy. That was the deep dive into Bleach, the Calamity. We'll catch you next time.